Welcome, everybody. On behalf of the National Glass Association, I'm Alicia Mitchell, NGA's Senior Operations Manager, and thank you for joining us today for today's webinar, featuring two of my colleagues from the Workforce Development Team at NGA, Jenny Chase and Elaine Cabrera. Oops. They have been heavily involved in the continual improvements you've been seeing across NGA's education and training platform, and are here today to get into detail on what those upgrades are and how you can implement them. Jenny, I'll turn it over to you to get started.
Thanks, Alicia. Good morning or afternoon, depending on the time zone you're in. It's still morning for me here in Colorado. I appreciate you taking the time to join us. I know your time is valuable, and I promise that we will share a lot of good information with you today. I'm going to be doing a lot of talking, but I do want to make sure that Elaine and I can answer your questions as well. So please go ahead and put questions in the chat as you think of them, and then we will address them at the end of the session. Alicia will go ahead and open up a Q&A session so we can make sure we can get as many of those answered as possible. So again, my name is Jenny Chase. I head up the workforce development efforts here at NGA. I am joined by Elaine Cabrera, who leads our My Glass Class customer care team. And we are here today to walk you through some of the new aspects of the My Glass Class platform, which is now free to NGA members, and to also talk about how you can use the platform to build a company training program. So My Glass Class has been around for many years. It's been used successfully to train, I'm happy to say, thousands of installers and apprentices. But that said, we always want to make sure that it remains relevant in terms of the content and that it is as user-friendly as possible to the industry. So we have made a few upgrades. So the first thing we have done is we've expanded our training content. So My Glass Class now offers 3 different training paths. We have My Glass Class for installers. You'll see that Glazer training on the left. We have the NGA Glazer Apprentice Curriculum for apprentices. And we now have new My Glass Fab for glass fabricator production personnel. So for this presentation, if you want to flip through, Alicia, we are going to focus on company training for installers and fabrication personnel. But if you are interested in Glazer apprenticeship, please take note of this email address, apprenticeship@glass.org. Email us there and we can have a separate conversation about apprenticeship. So getting into the new myglassclass.com. So My Glass Class is Glazer training for installers. This training is for installers at full service or contract glazing companies who are new to the glass industry or who are looking to add new skills to their job description. There are more than 30 courses available that cover everything from the basics of the glass industry. So, what does a glazer do? What can they expect in terms of their job description? What terminology does the industry use? What, for example, is a storefront versus a curtain wall system? What type of glazing math can they expect to encounter? To safety, this covers how to use PPE, how to handle glass safely, how to move glass. To glass and metal fabrication, that's going to cover mirror fabrication and installation, for example. We also now offer a suite of frameless shower enclosure design and installation courses, expanding to include system fabrication, assembly, and installation. These courses cover how to fabricate storefront metal, how to install storefront correctly, how to build and install curtain wall stick systems. And then we also offer more advanced courses on codes, blueprints, and estimating. So all of these courses can be taken on a phone, a tablet, or a laptop, and all of the installer courses are available in both English and Spanish. So that's the My Glass class for installers. We also now offer My Glass Fab. This is training for entry-level production personnel. So we're talking about training for employees who most likely don't have any specialized skill or prior experience, who are new to the glass industry, and at glass fabrication facilities, they are responsible for tasks like inspecting and measuring glass, loading and unloading glass, rotating glass through the various phases of the tempering, laminating, cutting, or shipping processes. These interactive courses range in length from 5 to 15 minutes. The initial training focuses on safety, glass quality inspection, how to measure glass, and basic math. Courses are again available in English, and we are also developing them in Spanish. And as the course catalog grows, we will be adding training on tempering, laminating, decorative glass, and insulating glass production. Next up is development of a series of courses for tempering furnace operators and quality technicians. So, like the My Glass Fab or the My Glass Class courses, My Glass Fab is available on all smartphones, and each My Glass Fab course consists of a course, and these are short, like I said, 5 to 15 minutes, a quiz, and a skill activity. So each course has a corresponding quiz that employees need an 80% score to pass. Each course also has an optional activity in the form of a downloadable PDF that employees can complete with their supervisor. So, for example, I hear from companies all the time that they'll have employees come in who can't accurately read a tape measure. So let's say you have an employee who comes in, they complete the How to Read a Tape Measure course, they pass the quiz, and then they can complete the activity, actually demonstrating that they're capable of using the tape measure and completing that skill. Some companies also choose to use the activity portion of these courses when they're screening new hires to get a feel, for example, what they are able to do. Can they read a tape measure? Can they do basic math? So you can also use courses in the screening process when you're hiring new people as well. So, in addition to our training content, NGA also moved My Glass Class and My Glass Fab training to a new learning management system. And this was done to allow supervisors to better monitor employee training compliance, right? We want to make sure that not only is high quality training available, but that you can monitor and ensure that your employees are completing the training and retaining the training. So this new system has a team manager function that allows supervisors to see what training courses employees are enrolled in, what courses they have completed, and their test scores. Companies can customize their team manager to monitor training for individuals or employee groups. So if, for example, you have a group of field personnel that needs storefront training under one supervisor and a group of shop personnel that needs fabrication training under another supervisor, you can create and manage two separate employee groups within the system. You also have the ability with this team manager tool to run reports to get an overall view of your employee training. So if you have 20 employees that you're running through your training program, they're taking different courses, you can run reports that can give you a broad overview of everybody's status, the courses they've completed, their scores, etc. And that allows you again to monitor compliance and then to also see if there are any trouble spots where more training is needed, or if you have employees who are struggling and things of that nature. So we do offer training on how to use that team manager tool. But I do want to provide you just a brief sneak peek of it so you can see some of the capabilities. This video is a bit quieter than I would like. So if your volume is not already turned up to 100, go ahead and slide that bar up. And we'll play a little brief overview of the team manager
As a
function
team
for you.
manager, you have the ability to view course progress, completions, and more. Click on the Go to My Team dashboard to view all employees added to your group. All employee team members will be listed on this page. From here, you can view progress, completions, tracking, and access reports. If you have more than one team or branch you would like to track, we can create subgroups for your company group. Here you see different group names, which are actually subgroups under the main group. Let me show you how this works. This is the main company group. You can have more than one team manager access and can view all members added to the group. You can see over here that this is what it would look like when you go to My Team dashboard. All members that would fall under the main company group would be viewable in this account. You can have more than one team manager access and can view all the members added to the group. Below are subgroups, which can be a team, a branch, or anything that works best for your company training. Maybe you want a subgroup called New Hires. Each subgroup can have its own team manager. This team manager will only be able to view and monitor those employees added to their subgroup. You can even have a subgroup of a subgroup. This means you can have a regional group and a manager
Alicia,
with
if you don't
smaller
mind
teams below,
pausing, it looks like we're
and they would
having a
only be
little
able to
bit
view
of
those employees added
issues with
to
this
their group.
video. I can tell that it's
Back on your
frozen
team
on my end.
dashboard, we will
It might
now
be
look at
frozen
how
with
you can review
others.
employee progress.
So if you can go ahead and press pause.
Click the down arrow to view a list of options. You can view current coursework, completed, submissions, which is their activity
And I'm
log.
guessing she can't hear me because the video is playing. So it's all good. These things, and this is webinars. There's always something that happens. But Elaine, if you don't mind pulling up that team manager function, and we'll go through a little bit of a live demo at the end of the session so people can see that functionality. I do think it's important for you to see because it is very useful. Basically, it allows you to like I said, you can see a dashboard of all of your employees, and you can tell exactly all of the courses that they are taking, all of the activities that they have completed, and you can run reports from that function. So we'll return to that later on at the end of the webinar, Elaine, if you don't mind pulling that up and giving a little live demo at the end. But for now, I want to move on to how you can use the courses, the team manager function, and the other capabilities that My Glass Class now offers to actually build your training program. So before you reach out to the My Glass Class customer care team or begin enrolling employees in My Glass Class, you really should think about what you want your program to look like. So this means asking yourself questions like, who needs training? Is it new hires? Is it employees who are adding new skills? Maybe you have someone who is great at frameless shower enclosure installation, but your company is getting into light commercial and you need them to learn how to install storefront. Something else to consider, and this is a really important one, is to identify who will lead your training efforts. And does that person who's overseeing your training program have the time and resources to be successful? One mistake to avoid, Alicia, if you skip ahead, this is one of my favorite slides in this entire presentation, and maybe of all time, because I feel like every single person on this call, and maybe in the glass industry, this speaks to you, right? Like oftentimes the person who is in charge of the training program is also in charge of a million other things. And we really want to try to avoid handing development of a training program to someone who already has several other responsibilities. If you ask an employee who already has other jobs to also develop a training program, you may be setting them up for failure. So I would encourage you to make sure that you create the time and space for your training lead to develop, oversee, and maintain your training program. So the next step is to do your homework. Go through the My Glass class or My Glass Fab course catalogs to select the training that is right for your employees. And when you're doing so, make sure to choose a well-rounded course offering. There could be the temptation, if you do a lot of curtain wall work, for example, to be like, okay, my crew needs curtain wall training, and to only enroll them in those courses. But we want to make sure that we have well-rounded employees, right? So for example, I have heard you might see glazers who do storefront work day in and day out. You need them to move to a curtain wall project. They don't necessarily have the right skills, or vice versa. They do curtain wall day in and day out. You need them to do storefront. They're unfamiliar with the differences. So make sure that when you're selecting courses for your employees to take, that they're learning their core job descriptions, but that they are also learning or at least becoming familiar with other skills that they may need to take on. So, this is not only a way to train your new hires, but it's also a way to expand your existing employees' skill sets. So, something to think about when you're looking through these course catalogs and determining what courses you want employees to take. You also want to think about how you want to organize your training. So, do you want, if you're a smaller company, maybe you want to have one group that includes all of your employees. Maybe you want to have a group for just new hires. Maybe you want to have a group for specific locations if you have multiple locations. And then who do you want to appoint to lead those groups? Do you need someone for each of your branches, or someone for, new hires, someone for existing employees? These are all important questions to ask yourself when you're thinking about how you're going to set up your program. So one of the questions that I get asked all the time when companies are looking to set up a new training program is, what's the best way to format it? And this really depends on your individual company's needs. And the good news is that, the My Glass class and My Glass Fab platforms allow for a lot of customization. So there are a couple of different ways you can tackle this. Some companies have a learning management system in place. So they will have an LMS where all of their HR resources already live. And if your company has this type of system, NGA can provide you with the course files to load onto your LMS. This is an option that is only available to NGA member companies. It does come with a separate fee because we are giving you our intellectual property. But the advantage to this, if you have an existing LMS, is that you can track all of your employee information in one place, from their training to their payroll to vacation time, what have you. So the second option, which I find is more common, not all that many companies have their own LMS, which is why NGA provides that via My Glass Class and My Glass Fab, is the self-paced option. So you can tell employees which courses you want them to enroll in, which courses you want them to complete, and give them a timeline for doing so. This is, obviously a self-paced option because you're allowing employees to take the courses on their phones on their own. And then using that team manager function, you're checking to make sure that they've done that and that they're passing them and that they are complying with your requirements. Lastly, I have seen many companies use My Glass Class to do group training. So what this could look like is maybe you have a break room where you have a supervisor walk through a course with employees, adding their own experience and comments on the course material. And employees can follow along on their phones. If you go this route, we do recommend that employees still have their own accounts. They're still enrolled in courses so that they can still take the tests, and you can still track that they're actually taking the courses and passing the tests. But there is an advantage to having everyone take the course at the same time in a group setting with an instructor or a supervisor, because it allows for discussion. It allows for additional sharing of best practices. Or you can do a combination of all of the above, but this is something else to consider. So who you need to train, how you want to organize your groups of employees, who is going to be leading these training efforts, and what format you want to do, whether that's going to be a self-paced training that you can monitor with your team manager, or whether it's going to be group training that you can also monitor with your team manager, but that allows for maybe an in-house supervisor to also add commentary to the courses. Next up, you want to make sure you're training your administrators and trainers. So as I said at the beginning, NGA has a great customer care team, and we will train your supervisors or your administrators. So the people who are going to be in the back end of the system using that team manager function, who will be tracking employee activity, monitoring compliance, we will train those people on how to use the system. So NJ will take care of that. But you also want to make sure that you are thinking about your hands-on trainers. So obviously My Glass Class and My Glass Fab can help get your new employees or employees who are looking to expand their skills trained faster, but it doesn't replace hands-on training. The best company programs that I have seen combine My Glass Class or My Glass Fab training courses with hands-on training. So for example, you may have a group of techs who are going through the frameless shower enclosure courses on My Glass Class, and you're monitoring their compliance and you're making sure they're completing their courses, and then you're making sure you have, and I'm sure you do this anyway, but you're making sure you have an experienced tech on the job site with them doing some additional hands-on training. You want to make sure that that experienced tech who's doing the hands-on training has the resources that he or she needs. You want to make sure that they're being rewarded for the extra time that they're putting in to train new employees, whatever you think that looks like. You don't want to put your hands-on trainers in a position where they see training as just another thing that they have to do. I would also encourage you to recognize your hands-on trainers. Add something to their job title or recognize them in the company for the additional responsibilities they're taking on. The more invested that your hands-on trainers are in your company training programs, the more successful they will be. So you've done all of these things, and then, and I say this jokingly, but kind of jokingly, then and only then, reach out to the myglassclass.com team. Once you have these things in order, once you know how you want to set up your program, once you know the courses you want to take, once you know who your training admins and supervisors are going to be, then email the customer care team at myglassclass@glass.org to request group and team manager access. So that is where we will set you up in the back end of the system to make sure that you can access that team manager function. And we'll also schedule that administrator training, that walkthrough of the LMS, to make sure that your supervisors or administrators know how to use the system to monitor compliance. And then once your company is set up in the LMS, you have your administrators trained, then you can begin to ask employees to create their My Glass Class accounts. All of your employee My Glass Class accounts will be connected to your company membership, and ask them to enroll in the courses that you've chosen for them. Now, you don't have to use the team manager function, so you can also skip this if you'd like and just go to that course catalog, ask your employees to take certain courses. They will be prompted to create an account when they go to enroll in them. And they can still share their own activity reports with you on their own if they prefer. So they will have access to their own activity logs and they can share it with you if you prefer to go that route. However, that does require a little more accountability on behalf of the employee. So just something to think about. So saving the best for last. All of this is free to NGA member companies. So you have access to all of the My Glass Class courses, the My Glass Fab courses, and the Team Manager functionality. That is all free to NGA member companies. And that means it's free to all of your employees. So you can use the My Glass Class platform and that Team Manager functionality to create your own company training program at no cost. You know, NGA is a not-for-profit association, so we want you to be able to access high quality training material, and all of these courses are developed with industry experts. And we want to make it as easy and financially accessible as possible, which is why we've made this switch to making all of this available to NGA member companies for free. So if you are not an NGA member, I would encourage you to look at the membership hub. The website is on screen, www.glass.org/membership, where you can see the additional benefits that NGA offers, and you can also do a cost analysis. You can look at the member dues that you would pay as an NGA member company and compare those against the training costs that you might incur as a non-member company and see what makes financial sense for your organization. Last but not least, this is an important one. I would encourage you, as part of developing your company training program, that you recognize and reward employees who buy in. Recognize and reward those who participate and excel in your training programs. Consider incentivizing employees who are excited about your online and hands-on training, and reward those who are committed and do well. And that can be, you know, whatever you deem is appropriate. Maybe it's a Chipotle gift card for a lunch every now and then. Maybe it's being able to leave early on a Friday. Some companies that I have worked with will use training as a way to show them the career path available at the company, and how they can advance along the pay scale. Whatever makes sense for you, this is an important way to show that you, as leaders in the company, value your employees, that you value their education, and that you recognize their efforts. And all of that can certainly help with your employee retention. So I have been talking a lot. I have been seeing questions pop up in the chat. Before we get I see you, Maren. That is a great photo, isn't it? That is an example of the previous photo is an example of the Utah Glass Association celebration barbecue for their apprentices who invest a lot of time in training and education. So before we get into the chat with the Q&A, Elaine and Alicia, a question for you. Was I correct in that demo was not working properly? Should we try to play it again, or should we just move on to Q&A?
It was probably my computer froze when the video
Oh, of
was playing.
course.
Yeah, so we probably shouldn't try and play it again.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah.
Elaine, do you want to hop to a live demo, or should we just answer questions?
I can hop to a live demo if I'm able to share my screen.
All right, so let's go ahead and answer questions in just a second. Alicia, can we hop? Alicia is killing me right now. She's our tech woman. Thank you, Alicia. and we're doing things on the fly. But I think this is a really cool team manager aspect function of the new My Glass Class platform that is pretty important to creating an internal training program. So if we are able to switch screens, let's try it. If it doesn't work, we'll just pop back in for Q&A.
Sounds good. Elaine, do you know where to find the screen share at the bottom of the screen?
Yes.
Perfect.
Elaine, you're a trooper for also doing this live. Appreciate you. Notice I'm just talking. I'm not doing anything technical.
All right.
I'm just trying to find, it gives me like a million windows. So I just want to make sure I'm selecting the right one.
Sure. So Elaine is going to be pulling up that team manager function that we talked about that you can use to monitor your team's compliance. And this is what you would be requesting access to by emailing myglassclass@glass.org. And this is also what you want to do that homework that we described. This is why you want to do that homework so that when you meet with the customer care team, you know how you want your team dashboard to be set up. So Elaine, if you can just give us a very brief, maybe 1-minute demo, that would be awesome.
Sure. So I think this part was viewable in the video,
Yes.
but you click on the Go to My Team dashboard, which will take you to all of the employees that will show up under your group. What you can see here is you can access everything from this page, their current learning. You can access their completed learning, their submissions, and more information. You'll see that each of these have a different title on them, and these are representing subgroups within the main group, which was mentioned by Jenny earlier too. If you have more than one location, if you have more than one team that you want to capture here and identify, then we can set up these subgroups for you. With each of these subgroups, you can have your own team manager so that your overall company group is viewable by whoever you want to view, everybody within the company. But then if you have a sales team or if you have a branch team, you can have a manager that just views their team, their branch for information. You just click on current learning to go and see the progress of individual employees. Let me get onto a student. So here you can see the courses that they're enrolled in, if they're in progress or if they've started. You can view some of their attempts or where they're at on the course. You can go back up here and go to submissions. And this is where you can view the activity, what they've enrolled in, if they've completed a course or if they're working on it. And here you can view some more information like test attempts. Here's where you can see their score. I saw in the chat one of the questions was, can you view the score? And you can, it's viewable here. I will also go to completed learning here, and you can see that this is what they've completed. You can view their certificate, and you can also print their completed learning, which is a transcript of all the courses that they've completed. If you need to edit any information for your team members, you can do that here. And then you also have the option to do some reporting by going to Launch Reports. And you can see there's a lot of different options. You can do a report for an individual. You can do a report just based on the course. If you have a whole group doing a course, you can just search by that course. You can also pull up for a group. It just depends on how you want to run your reports. If you do have more than one group or location, you have the ability to either choose just the location you want to pull a report for, or if you want to pull it for everybody, you would just submit that information. And then you'll see that there's all the information that would fall down here. It's going to give you quite a bit that you can sort by, look at. You can also export to an Excel document too for additional sorting or anything that you need to do with that information.
Awesome. Thank you, Elaine.
You're welcome.
So yeah, thank you for doing that on the fly. So as I stated, our customer care team will provide training and we'll do walkthroughs for your administrators on that team manager function. But I wanted you to see it is pretty straightforward. It is designed to be very user friendly. And it does allow you to run reports and to also monitor employee activity. All right, so I've been seeing little chat boxes pop up throughout the time we've been talking. Alicia, do you mind going through that and giving us some of the questions that we can answer?
Of course. So we have quite a few questions in the chat. Brandon popped by just to say hi. So hello, Brandon. Elliot asked, will this presentation be available to watch later?
Yes, so we will be uploading this to, well, two things. One, you'll receive a link to a recording of this via email tomorrow. And then by the end of the week, this will also be available on the glass.org website. I'm also putting together a checklist. I realize I went through a lot of information. So I'm going to be creating a checklist of all of the different steps that you should really consider when putting together a training program, and that will be available on the website as well.
Perfect. Bill asked if we are able to track the employee's activity, knowing if they took the course, what their score was, etc.
Yep, so we can do all of that using the team manager function that Elaine showed you. And again, we'll provide training to your whatever you want to call it, your team leader, your administrator, your supervisor, whoever is responsible for monitoring that training. We will make sure they know how to use the system so they can do that. That is one of the key points, I really will say, in having a good company training program is that accountability and that compliance. Um, Not just being able to see that employees are completing the training that you're requiring of them, but also then being able to see how well they're scoring on those corresponding tests. Obviously, the additional hands-on training that you can do will verify the knowledge that they've learned. But this is really an important component. You don't just want to send them out into the universe and say, "Hey, take this." You want to make sure that they're completing the training and retaining it.
Another question is there a limit to how many people can be enrolled in each course?
No, there's not. We have some companies who have 5 employees enrolled. We have one enormous company that just enrolled, and Elaine will know because she did this. I think it was 300 employees. So that is, again, why I would just encourage you to think about the structure of your program and who you want supervising the staff in the system, because you can have an unlimited number as an NGA member.
What is the fee to load to your company LMS?
So if you are an NGA member company and you have an LMS and you would like to host the courses there, there's $1,000 annual fee to do so. And like I said, that is because we are sharing our intellectual property outside of our system. These are easy. This is like rapid fire. Like, what else do you have?
Another question is, can we take courses to see if this is right for our company?
Yes, of course. If you're a member company, you can do that right now. I mean, everything is free. So I would encourage, and actually that is a really good question because I would encourage you to do that. That is part of that do your homework section of the presentation. We want to make sure that you're selecting the right courses for your employees and that they are a good fit. If you are a non-member company and would like to have a supervisor do get some trial access to the system so you can make the decision whether or not this platform is right for you, then email that myglassclass@glass.org email address, and we can get you set up with a trial account so you can do that evaluation. No problem.
Evan asked a question about the apprenticeship program, but Evan, I will have Jenny or someone from the customer team will reach out to you about your question, and we'll go ahead and help you get settled there.
Perfect. Yeah, we do have NGA Glazer Apprentice Curriculum, and we work with apprenticeship training providers across the country. That is an entirely different universe that I'm happy to talk to you about, Evan, on a separate call.
Alrighty, and then Another question is, has each course been updated recently?
Yes, I am so glad you asked that question, because I didn't cover that in the presentation. And by we, I don't mean me, I mean the instructional design team at NGA recently went through every single course on the My Glass Class platform as part of this relaunch. So every course has been updated in terms of content, and this was done in 2024, summer of 2024. So every course has been touched in terms of content. Every course has been updated in terms of functionality. We want to make sure that courses are interactive, because we all know that people learn differently, right? Some people learn by interacting with a course and by clicking on buttons. Some people learn with video, some people learn with audio, and that is why NGA has invested in instructional designers whose job is to make sure that we're presenting information in a way that adults can learn it. So everything has been updated. We have 4 new courses on frameless shower enclosures. The entire My Glass Fab course catalog is brand new, and we are going to be building on that probably for years to come, honestly. The next set of courses that we'll be tackling at the class conference in February will be for tempering furnace operators. We know that it's extremely important that this course content remains accurate and up to date. So that is something that we review continuously.
And then just one clarification, if they set up the classes that they want first and then put in their employees that they want to take the classes, do they contact us after?
So in terms, and I'll put this in the checklist. So the first thing you want to do is think about the courses that you want your employees to take, then contact us and we will get you set up in our system, and then you can enroll your employees. You want to have that back end structure set up. You want your administrator to be trained in the system. If you want to use that team manager function, it will make that administrator's life a lot easier if they are familiar with the team manager function before you enroll your employees. Otherwise, they could potentially be getting employee questions that they can't answer. So would definitely recommend, think about the courses you want to enroll your employees in, set up your walkthrough for your admin so they're trained, and then enroll employees so that if and when they have questions, they can either ask them of their admin and they know how to answer them. And then obviously our customer care team is also available for questions.
And then if an employee worked for another company previously, does their history follow them?
Yes, it does, because each account is for the individual. So if Bob works at company A and he completes, 10 courses, and then he moves to company B, when he accesses his My Glass Class account, his course completions will already be there. So that's actually a selling, well, maybe it is, maybe it isn't, but yes, their transcripts, as we call them, so their employee activity, their records, follow the individual.
And will we be adding courses on safety or OSHA?
So we have a ton of courses on safety and OSHA. These are created by an outside party that works directly with OSHA. So we offer OSHA 10 and we offer OSHA 30. And then we have, if you look in the course catalog, I believe, Elaine, it's listed. How is it listed? Is it listed as UL courses?
Correct.
You'll see a category in the course catalog for UL courses. Those are all safety courses, from everything from aerial lifts to forklifts to, I don't even know. There's like at least 20 courses, if not more. Because those are created by OSHA entities and not NGA, there is a fee for those courses. Because NGA doesn't create them, we don't own them, but they are available through the My Glass Class platform.
So someone asked, they're looking to create additional users, and they would like to give some of their employees access. So they're asking how to do that.
Yeah. Elaine, I'm gonna let you answer that one. So just to introduce Elaine, she leads our customer care team. When you send emails to that myglassclass@glass.org address, you are accessing a great team from our association services department and also from our workforce development department. Elaine leads that team. You are not always talking to Elaine, but she is extremely knowledgeable. So Elaine, can you answer that if you still remember the question after my babbling?
That's fine. If I'm correct, it was how to add employees or direct employees to um, take courses. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. There's actually a couple of ways, but the best way to do it is just to have your employees go directly to the My Glass Class website, select the courses that you want them or need them to take, and then they'll just enroll. They'll go to checkout. If they already have an account that's connected to the company, then it's as simple as just checking out and then being rerouted back to their classroom to take the courses. If they don't have an account, it'll prompt them to create an account. They select the company during the account creation that will trigger the membership. And then again, it will complete and direct them back to their classroom. If you are the primary account holder for your membership, you can go in and you can actually add employees through that option as well, which I would recommend. I can go over in a walkthrough if anybody has interest in learning a little bit more about some of these different options. But for sure, the easiest and the fastest way is just to send your employees to the website, do that. If you have a large number of employees, go ahead and feel free to reach out to the My Glass Class website and we can assist you with getting those employees set up.
Awesome. Let me see here. How many participants have taken my glass class?
I do not know off the top of my head. That is a question that I should research because I would love to know that stat. I can tell you that when we moved from the current platform that we were using last year to this new platform with the team manager function, we had, Elaine, correct me if I'm wrong, but we had over 5,000 users at that time. And that was current users. I don't know historically how many users we've had, but my glass class has been around for many years, so it's a lot.
And then we'll have this be the last question, but if their company opts out of the LMS, could they still track the progress of their employees?
No. So the way, well, yes and no. You cannot have an administrator track employee progress if you're not using that team manager function in the LMS. But you could ask your employee to share their records. So the employee will have a record of their course completions that they can also export. So if you didn't want to use the team manager function, you could say, hey, Bob, send me your course completion record, and they can create a report themselves, which is very easy to do, and email that to you.
That is the last one.
Sweet. And if you have any other questions that you think of, again, please use that myglassclass@glass.org email address. Use that for questions, use that to set up that team manager functionality. And if you are interested in membership, go to the hub on glass.org/membership to investigate whether it makes sense for you to become an NGA member. Elaine and I will be available to answer questions. I will be at the NGA Glass Conference in Carlsbad next week. If you will be there, I would love to see you. I will also be at the BEC conference in March, along with some of our workforce development team and Alicia. So we will be having a My Glass Class Learning Lounge at that BEC conference where we'll be available to do additional demos and to ask additional questions. And then lastly, We will again be sending out a recording of this webinar to all of you via email, and we'll post the webinar and a corresponding checklist on glass.org so you can go back to reference this. And I lied, it wasn't lastly. I have one more thing. Any feedback that you have in terms of how we can improve webinars like this, or how we can improve the learning platform in general. I love feedback. So please feel free to reach out to me directly via email. And thank you, Alicia and Elaine, for being such great co-hosts and working on the fly. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for joining us. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their day. Thank you.
Take care. Have a great day.